other one. Oh, it's 4.
We are.
Hello.
All right, then we'll talk.
No.
We're live on YouTube already.
Oh, okay.
Is Jim Bender on?
I don't think so.
Well, Chris, what did you think of that today?
You're muted.
I'm sorry.
That isn't that
A lot of information crammed into a short period of time.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Joe he goes too fast.
I think they could have broke that up.
Well, actually, at one time it was 4 hours and they had both days all crammed into 4 hours. And it was even worse. And so I'm trying to get them to split it up in 2 days. And when you see the next weeks, you'll understand why. It's a lot of information also, good stuff. So, but yeah, I think they just added more in there and it was fire hose.
It was.
More fire hose.
It was fire hose, and what would have been interesting if they had examples of all of those things they were talking about
Yeah,
to make them seem like more real.
yeah.
So maybe it's a longer session.
That would be even longer. Yeah.
Hey, Clint Rock, unmute yourself and let me know what project you're here for, please.
I'm here for the Third Street quitclaim.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ron, did you log in today?
Yeah,
Good.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bunch of new stuff. I felt like a rookie.
I learn every time. Every
Yes,
time.
yes.
Jim's not coming? Colin said he was, but Jim Bender.
I'm gonna have to break down and get me a bigger device.
Well, either that, or we all get well quicker.
Well, my
two.
phone's working real good, but it'd be nicer if I had at least a tablet. I'm one of these guys, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you do real well with the phone.
Yeah, I'm doing real well with it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be real interesting next week. It's going to be all legal, it sounds like.
Yeah, it'll be ethics and ex parte and yeah, the lawyer will do everything.
Yes, yes.
And he's pretty good. He does a good job, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the last one I went to was about 2 or 3 years ago, and there was a lady that did it. She was very good.
Yeah.
That was the one down in I think it was Gaithersburg.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, folks. I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Welcome to the City of Hagerstown's Planning Commission meeting, February 24th. With us today is Chris Davis. I don't know if that's Jim Stone there or not.
I think it's Jim Bender.
Oh, it's not, okay. Ron Thomas, Judy Weller, and Shelley McIntyre. Shelley is our council person representative and ex officio. So we have a quorum all in the room at City Hall. I think I can see Kathy Moore in there, Steve Bachmiller, Megan Flick, and I heard her, and Debbie Calhoun. So welcome to all. The first item on our agenda is approval of 3 sets of minutes. I guess we ought to take them individually. I know it's boring, but we'll do that. January the 13th is the first set.
I'll move
approval of. Go ahead, Chris.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
I'll accept Judy's second and Chris made the motion. We ready to vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The next one is January 27th.
I'll move to
Motion.
approve.
Who's that?
I'll
I'll
second.
give this one to Judy,
I'll second.
Doesn't matter.
and Ron's going to second. And is there any opposed? All in favor, then is okay.
Aye.
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 None opposed. Thank you. And then lastly, February the 10th.
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
All righty, Ron made the motion, Chris second. Ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Abstain. This is Shelley.
Okay, thank you. That'll take care of all that. Our first development review then is City Park Train Hub Softball Restrooms.
Okay. Jim Bender's here from the city engineer's office. I believe that was the Jim's label on the program there. This is a site plan for small parking area and restrooms for City Park. Site plan ZS 2020, should be 2021-02. This plan is for the construction of a 7-space parking area and approximately 1,000 square foot restroom building and associated ramps and walkways to be located between the train museum and the softball field on the west side of City Park Drive. The amount of disturbance does not subject this development to the requirements of the Forest Conservation Ordinance. The parking area of 7 spaces falls under the requirements when landscaping requirements begin to apply for parking areas. They start kicking in when you're creating a parking lot of 8 spaces or more. Therefore, no landscaping is proposed or shown. However, this improvement is located within the interior of a large city park in an environment with a lot of existing landscaping and vegetation. Lighting will be via building mounted units and existing pole lights. Lighting is not required for this lot as the hours of operation for the restroom will be seasonal and not during dark hours. No PRC meeting was conducted for this project due to the current health emergency. The following agencies have provided approvals: Parks and Engineering, Antietam Cable, State Highway Administration, Planning, Health Department, Washington County Plan Review and Permitting. And we do have approval from the fire marshal and the utilities. My memo said that they were pending. We have received approvals from the fire marshal and utilities without conditions. Therefore, staff recommends approval.
I have to ask, we're now asking Antietam Cable, State Highway Administration, and Washington County Plan Review for all these. I mean, there's some agencies on here I have not seen before.
We actually historically always have, rarely have they ever responded. And we have just decided to, everything that comes back, we just, if they say we're okay with it, we just vote onto the staff report now.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
The drawing here for the proposed restrooms, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like the pathway has some kind of some steps or something in there, but I don't see anything that indicates there's a handicap ramp.
This is Jim Bender. I think that just the way it's a little bit misleading on the drawing. I think what looks like steps on there is just a depiction that there's a bit of a ramp. You know, that it's showing there's a change in the grade of the path there. It's not necessarily steps. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I was looking at.
Jim, I had that question too, but also on the other drawing with the smaller, well, the greater scale, there's the existing woman's bathroom and existing men's bathroom up near the mansion house. Are they staying?
Yeah, for now they are. I think the plan is that we're going to see, we're going to observe what the usage is on these new bathrooms. There's been a movement from the softball organization that currently uses the fields out at Fairgrounds Park. They apparently are really growing in interest, especially for senior league teams. So they have talked to the city about scheduling games and reserving the softball fields at City Park on a more regular basis. And there are also plans to improve the train museum, the train hub, and make it more of an amenity and more of a draw. So the thinking was that we would construct these new bathrooms mainly for the train hub and the softball fields. And we'll see how it goes. If they are adequate for those two facilities and possibly also the people that were using the existing bathrooms up by the road, then at some point in the future, those may be eliminated. But right now, those existing bathrooms are going to stay, and this will just be a new facility added to it.
All righty, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? So there are no contingencies. Planning Commission is recommending approval.
I'll move approval of the site plan.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion of the site plan? We ready to vote? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Fine, it passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So next we have the quick claim request. Portion of 3rd Street right away.
I'll turn that one over to Jim.
Okay. The city received a Raymond Higgins to quitclaim a portion of the right-of-way of 3rd Street. It's a portion of 3rd Street that was never constructed. It's never been improved. And Mr. Higgins owns land on both the north side and the south side of the section of right-of-way that he's requesting a quitclaim for. And so you can see that they have up on the screen, there are no other adjoining property owners that touch that portion of the right-of-way that he's requesting a quitclaim for. To the east is actually the right-of-way. It's a very narrow right-of-way, but it's a right-of-way for Oak Street, which comes down from Wilson Boulevard and continues on even past this property, continues south. So really, Mr. Higgins is the only landowner that touches this right-of-way. So there aren't any other direct property owners that really would have a stake in this right-of-way. We routed this request to the various city departments. It's our typical thing that we do just to see if there are any comments. And the only comment that we received was from the Hagerstown Light Department. They would like the opportunity to reserve an easement for future electric service if they need to extend electric service over to the east, over beyond Oak Street, that Oak Street right away, and east over onto the property owned by the Minnicks, if something would develop back there. But until they would know exactly what might happen over there on those other lands, they can't say this is exactly what we need for an easement, or this is the location. So I think they're basically just putting condition on the quitclaim that they will expect, if needed, that an easement will be granted in the future for them to extend their facilities. But from that standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. The quitclaim, there aren't any city departments have an objection. that particular part of the right of way, other than an easement for city light, is not needed for a public purpose. So from that standpoint, I think we would say yes. Let's recommend as a council that the quitclaim go forward. But there is an exhibit that you see up on the screen that shows sort of a related issue that we just want to make the Planning Commission aware of. To the east of this quitclaim area, directly to the east of it are two properties that are on that exhibit are owned by Minnick Estates Incorporated. But then just to the south of that is a 10.6 acre parcel that the ownership is Scott M. Minnick, trustee. I don't know the Minnicks, but I assume that it's all part of the same family in one way or another is involved with all of the properties. That 10.6 acre.
Jim, the tax records for all those properties go to the Minnick Funeral Home.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Okay. I think the question is the question that we saw and that we just wanted to make the Planning Commission aware of is that 10.6 acre parcel doesn't have many good options for access if that property was ever to develop in the future. It is bordered by that narrow Oak Street property along its western edge. And there is also a county street, Miles Street, that its right of way comes over and extends and hits that 10.6 acre parcel. But there are a couple photos in the packet that show that that road, Miles Street, is not really up to city standards, and I'd venture to say that it's probably not up to current county standards as well. It's narrow, it's not very well improved, and there are actually, in that photo that's up on the screen now, that house that's on the left, where the pickup truck that you can see is sitting, and a large portion of what concrete that they put down as a pad in front of their garage is actually in the right of way. I mean, it's encroaching into that right of way. So if Miles Street was the only real access point into that property, not saying that it can't be improved and make a connection there, but it's not necessarily, I'd say, an ideal connection depending on what would want to happen, what development would happen on the 10.6 acre property. So I guess this all relates back to the quitclaim request in that 3rd Street, its right of way ends at the Oak Street right of way. And if you would extend beyond that, it doesn't extend into this 10.6 acre parcel. It extends into one of the properties or parcels there that's owned by Minnick Estates. So, you can't directly say that by quitclaiming this portion of 3rd Street, you're cutting off access to that 10.6 acre parcel. But if there was a desire sometime in the future to develop that 10.6 acre parcel, 3rd Street, an extension and working with the Minnicks to extend a road right away through their property to get to that 10.6 acre parcel might provide better access to that parcel than Miles Street. Unfortunately, to the south in South Point, you can see on that exhibit, there's a Grand Legacy Drive that comes up and almost touches the southern boundary of that 10.6 acre parcel, but it doesn't touch it. There's a gap there. It's open space between the end of the road and that parcel. So there's not a right of way connection to that parcel any other way. So as I said, as far as the quitclaim goes, there's no objection to quitclaiming what they're requesting, but we just want to make the Planning Commission aware that potentially that may have some impact on how you would access that 10.6 acre parcel in the future.
I think, Jim, you've got an excellent point here. And I think that mayor and council will need to look at this closely and get involved, I think, the county attorney, the city attorney. And that, the reason for it is the Minix now have an access. It's not paved, but they have legal access to that property, decent legal access. If this is taken away, there's a possibility, I would think, and I'm not a lawyer, but there's a possibility that there could be a denial of property rights and a taking of property rights. So I would certainly encourage the city to investigate that with their attorney, whether that would be a case or not. Now, I'm sure, the Minix, if they do know that, and I think they do, yeah, they could maybe take that Oak Street right away and widen it and cross their properties all the way back. And that would be a reasonable thing to do, because if they develop all that into housing, they're going to need more than one access. They can't just get by with just one access. They'll probably need at least two. So I agree that if there wasn't a mini problem there, this would be pretty much a slam dunk recommendation on our part. But I just am hesitant to say that that's a good thing to do. Well, my opinion, without any legal advice to the city, because I think that they are setting themselves up. Do we know whether the Minix States is cognizant of this action?
We had encouraged Mr. Higgins and his representation to reach out to the Minix, just knowing that this may be a question that the Planning Commission would have. And I don't know if there's anyone else on the call representing Mr. Higgins that can speak to that, whether that contact has been made.
Hey, Jim, Doug, this is Zach Kiefer. I'm sitting here with Mr. Higgins here at my office. Mr. Higgins did reach out to Scott Minnick. The Minnicks are aware of it. They haven't provided any objection to Mr. Higgins or to the Planning Commission at this point. Conversely, they haven't provided an approval either. So at this point, I would mark their involvement as ambivalent. Certainly, Doug, you're right that there may be some additional research that needs to be done by the city attorney as to what the implications of this quitclaim are. But I think your point's well taken too, that they should probably, any future development's probably going to be looking at that Oak Street access as well. Just because, if they're going to rely on 3rd Street, I think they may have some issues there as far as traffic flows and things like that. But as Jim pointed out there, I don't know the future of Grand Legacy Drive, but that is sitting there and certainly a possibility as well. So, to the extent that there are a few items that we need to put a bow on and tighten up, certainly. But I wouldn't say that if quitclaiming 3rd Street would completely foreclose any ability to develop that 10-acre piece by the Minix. And also Clint Rock is on the call here too from Fox and Associates if there's any technical questions, or Clint, feel free to chime in.
Thank you for that. Well, in my mind, I guess we're in a quandary now. Our job is only to make a recommendation to the mayor and council, not to approve this. So whether we want to point that out to the mayor and council that this probably should be studied further, I imagine with Kelly on the line and Jim also and everybody else in the Planning Commission, I guess that'll be done anyhow. But whether we recommend this or recommend it with qualifications or whatever the right words, I don't know. What do you all think?
I agree, Doug. We ought to at least point it out to the mayor and council that there is an issue of access if that property were to be developed. It may not remain in the hand of the Minix, and whoever purchases it in the future would be at a disadvantage of not knowing what occurred.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I imagine if the Minix sign off on this in writing and it's recorded somewhere, that could take the onus off the city to be relieved of this denial of property rights. So again, those things need to be worked out by smarter people than us, or at least me. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to include you all in that. So what's any other thoughts?
I don't think we ought to leave it in the dark as far as our recommendation.
Of course, even if we recommend denial, the mayor and council is going to consider this closely. And our recommendation, I hate to say no, I hate to deny, but what's the right way to go about this?
Well, should we table it until perhaps we have something in writing from the Minix or something legal to look at?
That's fine with me.
Doug, would the planning commission entertain an approval with the caveat that it's gets sign off from the city attorney?
Well, that's certainly
That's
solve
another
my problem.
option.
Yeah, that would solve my problem.
Yeah. I'm just saying that all parties that are potentially involved in what would happen if the 10.6 acres were developed should know the situation that's going on now.
Well, at least the current owners, I mean, if we don't.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, if there's a future owner, he'll have to learn about it through the current owner, but.
That's exactly right. I'm thinking the people that own the properties now ought to know what's going to happen now and what the ramifications could be in the future if development of that property were to occur by them.
I don't think it's necessary for the commission to make a decision of in favor or not. I think it would be perfectly reasonable for you to relay your opinion that is a complicated issue. You have some concerns about whether we're closing off future abilities to serve this area, and just let the mayor and city council take that into consideration.
That's a good way of putting it.
I agree with that, but I want to be sure our motion talks about or points out the fact that there could be future legal problems for the city that need to be investigated. Physically, yes, I think it's fine. And I think it makes good sense for the owner, the property owner, because if nothing ever happens there, which I doubt, then it's fine. But and he owns property on both sides, and this is a missing piece. It's a gap.
Right.
But again, so maybe I could suggest a motion that the planning commission on the surface approves or recommends approval, but encourages the council to seriously consider ramifications to the Minnick Estates and consults with the legal counsel.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Any discussion of the motion?
Is that wording going to be sufficient enough for the council to really understand what's going on.
Well, we're fortunate to have Shelley with us.
Yeah, yeah.
And she will be involved on that level, but I think she's hearing some of our concerns and will relay that on to her fellow council people.
That's good enough for me.
As well as Jim will, I'm sure also, and Kathy will also be making sure that those points go on. So.
You got your back.
Right.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm
All
here.
right. Yeah, that's a good reason why you're there. That's great.
Behind you all the way, Doug.
I got you. I got you.
About 10 or 15 yards.
I don't know where you want to follow me, Rob, but anyway. Okay, well, are we ready to vote on the motion as stated?
Do we need a motion or just, it just says discussion here. Do we need to make a motion or just a recommendation?
Well, this is a recommendation. I mean,
okay.
It is a recommendation. So, but we ought to vote on the recommendation, I think.
Okay, that's good enough.
All righty. Although it just does discussion, but we've got to have a motion to be our recommendation.
Didn't Chris already make the motion?
I did.
Yeah, Chris made the motion.
Judy second.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained. Yes. Thank you, Sharon. All righty. Let's see. It's 7:28. We just got a little ways to go, folks. One more. North Point Building 3.
Okay. This is a waiver to fence landscaping requirements for North Point Building 3 at 1050 Basil Boulevard. The plan, let me go off script for a second. This is the building. This is the smallest of the 3 previously approved buildings. It's the one that's on the west side of Basil. So if you're heading away from town toward the mall, it's the building currently under construction on your right. The plan tenant of this building desires the property to be fenced for security reasons. They intend to install a 6-foot tall ornamental aluminum fencing in the front and on the sides of the building with chain link to the rear. The forest conservation areas and adjacent wide CSX right-of-way are sufficient to buffer the fence on the sides and the rear. However, there's a stormwater management facility that is located along Basil Boulevard, and the fence is located at the top of the rim of that facility. The ordinance requires a 10-foot landscape buffer with prescribed numbers of trees and shrubs based on the length of the fence. There will be plantings in the stormwater management facility, but they will not grow up to the point of screening a 6-foot tall fence around the edge of the facility, nor will there be room to install it. There is 5 feet of space between the parking lot and the beginning of the storm pond. Staff has no objection to the waiver given the 4 following points. 1, the fence will be ornamental metal. 2, the fence will be located about 30 feet from the right of way of Basil Boulevard. So technically, when you think about it, they could actually if it wasn't for the storm facility being there, they could put the fence 10 feet from the right of way as long as they put the landscaping on the outside. So they got the fence set back 3 times as far as the ordinance would minimally require. Number 3, will be street trees across the front of the property. And 4, there will be plantings in the floor of the stormwater management facility that will provide some greenery to the area, even though they will likely serve little to no actual screening purpose for the fence. We would object to the waiver if it was for chain link or other industrial appearing fencing. And then we forwarded the the waiver application to you. We also provided you illustrations. The hard copies were hard to read. The changes were shown in red, so I did forward to you electronic versions on Monday, so you could blow them up on your computer and look at them closer. But basically what this entails is putting an 6-foot tall ornamental fence across the front of the parking spaces. There'll still be the parking lot landscaping is still going to be there along the front of the parking spaces. The fence will be, I believe, outside of that. I'll defer to Tony Taylor on that just to confirm. But by my evaluation, it looks like the parking lot shrubbery will still be there, but on the inside of the fence. Anyway, staff recommends approval. And we'll treat this as a red line revision to the site plan. It'll go into the main site plan file.
There's a drawing that near the top says section A. And that one right there, no, I'm looking at my section A. The drawing says section A. If you, yeah, that's it. Boy, I'd like to have my pointer, but in all the, well, at least most of the panels shown there, in the corners, there's this cross hatching that was hand drawn in a blue pen. Yeah, that's it. What is going on there, Tony? Anybody else?
Don't.
Hey, Tony.
Sarah's just muted.
Muted, yeah.
It doesn't show up on my.
It's section.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we go.
Okay, all right. I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I have myself muted. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that crosshatch is because that section right there is actually the gate and not what you'll typically see across all the other places. So I'll need to confirm with the client as to exactly what that blue crosshatch area is depicting. Nothing that I received in the shop drawings really led me to know what that is.
Okay, I mean, I'd hate to see a chain link in the middle of that. I mean, if that's what they're showing, that they're going to put a chain link behind those vertical bars or whatever,
that would actually defeat the purpose because the SEPTED standards say that these vertical picket fences are actually the most secure because they're the hardest to scale. You can't get a toe hold in it. So if they were to back it with chain link, they're actually doing themselves a disservice from a security standpoint because it would allow somebody to put their foot between these pickets and get a toe hold in the chain link.
that's exactly why I'm raising the question.
Yeah.
Okay. So Steve, you would ask if this is approved that you make sure that that's not what it appears to be?
I would suggest the best way to handle it is if you're otherwise amenable to the whole thing, make a motion that approves it with the condition that it's the vertical picket only. And if for some reason it's a problem, we can bring it back later.
I would like to have you make assurances that that's what it is, if you don't mind.
If you look at that entire drawing there, that if you look at the corners on the 3 of those sections there, that hashing is in the upper left-hand corner of the second one from the left, and in the top and bottom corner of the next one over, and also in the upper left-hand corner of the section of the last one on the right. There are 4 hash marks across there.
Right.
Go back to the original, the first drawing you showed there.
Section A.
Back to the next one.
There
Now look at you got 4 sections there that have upright posts on there. Move over to the second one from the left, and in the upper corner there's a hash mark on that device that says 2 square aluminum upright. Starting there, there's a hash mark in green or blue or whatever. Then you move over to the next one. There's one on the top and the bottom of the next section. Then you move over to the next one over. There's a hash mark up in the upper left corner of that. Under the section that has 36 inches there marked. Then you move over to the next one over that's open. There's a hash mark in the upper right-hand corner there. I'd like to know what those are. Are they some kind of braces or something?
Yeah, that's my question. also.
There's not just the one, there's 5 of them in there.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. But that's my question.
I didn't pick up on these when we processed it, so thanks for pointing that out. I didn't see these. I saw the drawing, but I did not see the hashing. So
If we could go down 2 pages again, is that you running this, Megan? There, that one right there. What is that mesh pattern there?
The detail says it's a expanded metal panel. I'm not sure what that exactly what that is. So I'm going to have to find out what that is and then get that information to Steve.
Okay.
And I believe these illustrations are for the fences that are going to go along the side and the rear, which nobody's going to see anyway.
They got the vertical posts.
It has a hinge on it also. That's an entrance gate, the 48-inch wide entrance gate.
Metal gate with ornamental fence detail.
Yes.
I don't think that's the chain link fence part in the back.
Page you looking at?
One's on right there.
I believe where this gate is going is on the sidewalk leading out from the building to the road, just by looking at the width of the gate.
Tell you what,
It's a personal gate, yeah.
Yes, yes.
But still, what is that material and what's it gonna look like?
how's about if we postpone this? Because it sounds like we got too many questions here. This got put on the agenda literally at the last minute on Thursday or Friday, thinking it was a simple thing, but apparently it's becoming more than we initially thought. Tony, how much of a heartburn would it create your client if this got put off until second Wednesday in March 10th?
You wouldn't have any objection to putting this on the back side of the site. I mean, where you guys are talking about, where your concerns are is the front of the site along the stormwater pond, correct?
That's where my concern as staff is, yes. I really don't care about what's in the side and the rear. Nobody's going to see it.
Okay. Okay. So I think the push is they need to get this material ordered, and we just need to find out. You have no objections if we're not putting any kind of fabric behind that fence along the front, if I'm understanding you correctly?
Correct. From a staff level.
Okay. You know, I'll just I'll let the client know that's what your wishes are. You don't want any kind of material unless it's, you know, if it's chain link, you don't want it. If it's some other material, I'll get that to you guys, and we can make a decision on the variance on the 10th. I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from this. If we don't know, if you guys don't have all the information, it's hard for you guys to make a decision.
Keep in mind that the waiver is for the waiving of landscaping, the idea of which is it's to buffer the appearance of fencing, which typically is more industrial looking than this vertical picket stuff. But without knowing what that material is behind it, you know, I hesitate to say, yeah, we're good with it. The preference would be that there be no material behind it.
Right.
But so we definitely would need to know what that is, and it may impact what staff's position on this, depending on what we find out.
Okay. Okay. What if we move the landscaping that's along the parking lot to the roadside of the fence on the slope down to the bioretention pond? I believe we just have shrubs and some green vase alcovas along the perimeter of the perimeter of the parking lot there. If we move them to the roadside of the fence
and have some,
you know, I think I'm on the same page personally as Steve. And I don't mind, because I did see part of an email that Steve, you sent us, that talked about the developer wants to quickly get this stuff on order. I don't want to hold it up, but I do want to know what's going in there. And I don't mind passing the buck to Steve and put it all on his back and let him decide what's right and what's wrong. If
I
you
have
all,
no problem with that.
I agree.
I agree.
Gee, thanks.
and if it's ugly, we'll call it the Bach Miller for the next 20 years.
Right.
Feel the love.
Steve, I apologize for putting you on the spot.
I mean, I'm happy to work with them, but if I find that it's something that's very industrial looking, I'm probably going to be bringing it back to you.
Very good. I appreciate that.
Great.
That's a
Okay.
good idea.
That's why, that's part of your judgment call too. And I think that would be very good.
All right.
Now, I mentioned this to Steve, but I told him that I'm very sensitive about talking offline. So I said, I'm going to ask, I don't see the asphalt pathway on these drawings. He got back to me and said, it's not on these drawings, but it's there in the city's drawings for doing the road. Now, is that correct, Steve?
That is correct. The asphalt walkway was not on the original site plan for this property. Of course, we had that very long discussion about the whole issue, and the way it was to be resolved is that the asphalt walkway would be shown on the city's road construction drawings. That asphalt walkway is on the county city's road construction drawings, and the plan is to build it. But it just doesn't show up on this particular site plan.
All right. Dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
Yep.
And I can 100% back Steve up on that.
Okay, very good. All right, then I guess we really need a motion to ask Steve to resolve this to our satisfaction. And if he feels comfortable at that point, he can bring it back to us. We don't maybe need a motion, but at least ought to be recorded that way. Do we need a motion?
So what we're doing is we're making a motion on the waiver requests for the fence landscaping. And the decision for the fencing is to be added on there at Steve's discretion.
That's fine with me.
That's the motion.
Second.
All righty. Everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
Except for Steve.
And I object now.
No, you can't.
It just won't be recorded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All righty. I'm not aware of any planning commission business. Judy, did you watch this seminar today too from state?
No, I wasn't able to.
Yeah. Okay, well, it was informative. I've been through about 4 or 5 of those, and 3 or 4 of them. I got all kinds of certificates, but I learned something every time. So when it comes around again, those who can, I think recommend it. So, I mean, if you were welcome, I think you can, I don't know whether you can just pop in on next Wednesdays or not. You won't get certified, but it'll be good information if you're interested. I can look into that if you're interested.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll see if I can get you a pass into that. I have no other business.
There wasn't any password or anything, just I guess an entry code like, ID.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it was on when the emails I got.
Yeah.
But there was also participation, and I'm not sure how much of that is actually captured.
Well, they're capturing it. They know who was there, and they know who left early too. So
somebody's in trouble.
Now, if you leave it on and get up and go to your kitchen and get some, they don't know any of that. But But I think they are clocking it as, so that they can certify that at least you got most of it. Steve, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I just had one thing real quick. Your next meeting, I am thinking I'm probably going to be loading up your agenda a bit with plan reviews. I got several things that are coming right. One of which is I think you are probably going to have the site plan for the Dollar General in front of you at your next meeting, FYI.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, well, we've seen it enough.
Yeah, it shouldn't be any big deal at this point.
Right, right. All righty, folks. Well, thank you very much for your time tonight. And we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Hey.